Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of my series, Creative Corner. It is like I said, a series of mini episodes affiliated with my full podcast, the Renaissance Nerdcast. Um, Essentially, what I want to do with this series is to feature various people involved in the arts, whether that be crafting, uh, YouTube channels, acting, theater, writing, and so on, and just talk to them about their craft, how they got into it, and what their experiences are like. For this first episode, I am with, my first guest is my good friend, um, Kelvin Page, also known as Kelvin Drama.
Woohoo!
Thanks for joining me, Kelvin.
Man, it's always a great appreciation of mine to join you in your podcast.
Thank you, thank
Uh,
you, thank you. But remind me and inform the listeners how you came up with the name Kelvin Drama.
it's always funny. Basically, Calvin Drama comes from the character from Entourage, Johnny Drama. Basically, what happened was um, when very early in my career, I started out doing a bunch of little small parts and scenes where there's no dialogue at all. Um, and I was very happy with it. Learning the different things you can do and don't do on set. Um, but basically, the name came off because I began to become more established as an actor, where people would contact me and say they had a specific part for me or something like that, and I would take the big parts and I would take even the small parts where it was like maybe two lines. And they finally did an interview on the real Mark Wahlberg, the real Johnny Drama. And one of the things he said was, no matter how many lines he could have two words in his script, and he would always, go and practice it like it was like he was about to give an Oscar award-winning speech. So, and one of my friends was like, "Hey, man, that kind of remind me of you because you take all the small parts that nobody else will take." I was like, "You know what? Calvin Drama." And ever since then, I've been calling myself that.
Nice. I didn't know that full. All of you, I remember you telling me is that you based it on Johnny Drama. I didn't
Hmm.
realize it was that in depth, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
really
yeah,
like that because that really reflects your attitude towards acting and the art.
yeah.
And but speaking of which, let's go back to the beginning, the genesis of Kelvin Drama and his career. But what was that moment when you realized that you wanted to act, that you decided this was what you wanted to do and this is what you were going to pursue? When was that moment? How did that come about?
Well, basically, I always wanted to act. I tell everybody the same story. I always wanted to act ever since I first saw Trespass, the movie with Ice T and Ice Cube, and I forgot who else was in it, but it came out like 1994, I believe. So I always wanted to act since then, but I had this whole shy, I was scared to be embarrassed type thing, and that kind of played in effect of me starting so late in my life. Um, and basically, how it all got started was shout out to Jimmy Trainer. He's the first person who gave me a chance at acting. Um, I was signing up for a bunch of his classes, and um, I was signing up for a bunch of his classes, and I would always bail at like the last minute. I would cancel, like 2 days or a day before I would cancel because I was scared of the unknown. I never taken an acting class before. So I did it probably about 5 or 6 times, and he finally emailed me and said, "Hey, man, I saw you. You signed up for a couple of my classes and you canceled at the last minute." And he said he didn't know if I was embarrassed or I was easily embarrassed or I was just terrified. But he was having a seminar where he wouldn't require any acting. I could just come and see what the business was about. Learn the lingo, and just kind of get a feel for what happens on a set and in classes and things like that. Um, So I was like, cool, he let me come in for free, just get my feet wet. So I went there. I was the only one there, and he taught me some valuable things. I learned a lot of things, and he finally, at the end of the class, he said, about the seminar, he said, "Hey man, I have 7 lines in the film I'm filming now. Would you be interested? No audition. Would you be interested? It's yours." So me thinking, I'm like, I think I can act. I act around the house. I act at work and things. I'm a clown. Um, how can you screw up 7 lines? So got my 7 lines, practiced them. Um, I dove deep into it. I thought, I was like, I'm ready. Day came to filming, and everything went blank. I mean, I couldn't remember
Oh,
lines. I couldn't remember anything like how the character was supposed to be. Um, and that was like I credit that as my biggest learning experience to date. I saw the final project. I mean, they said I did good, but when I saw it, I was like, oh man, it's like the worst. I would never watch it ever again. So from that point, I was like, I never want to experience that ever again. So I'm gonna keep working so that way I never have to get to that point again. And that was my first role. It wasn't the best, but I learned a lot from it.
that's a great story, Kelvin. I mean, it's anyone that's in a creative art, whether it be writing or acting or photography, we're always looking for that one person to give us a chance.
Hmm.
And I think you are an example of someone getting a chance and running with it,
Yeah,
and understanding the blessing that is that first chance.
basically, yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, I always question myself as to whether if he never gave me that chance, would I ever be acting? And that's really like powerful to me because it's unknown. I might never had acted, again or ever if he never would have gave me that chance. So it's kind of scary, but I think everything happens for a reason. Like he noticed that I was always canceling. He knew to say, hey, I'm just having a seminar, no acting, anything. He knew what my fears was before I can even say it to him. You know,
Wow.
so that's crazy.
You say that you Trespass was the movie where you kind of that impacted you and moved you towards acting. Are there any particular actors that have always inspired you, or were the actors that were like, "Hey, I want to do this. I want to do what they do."
Yes, very. I mean, very, very. I mean, everybody has gotta have that. That actor that inspires them. Um, but to me, it wasn't about just choosing an actor. I think the actor I chose, it wasn't about him being an actor because he wasn't that good of an actor at first. It was about the person he was, which is Will Smith. Um, I always like, when I saw Will Smith, with his family and things like
Mm-hmm.
that when he was growing up, I was like, you know what, I want to base my, I want to be a man like that, we're family oriented,
Mm-hmm.
everything revolves around family. And not even just family, how he treats people, day to day. Like he's not just nice to his family, and then when he gets on set, he's a diva or he's nasty to his fans. Like every time I see him, he's like, taking a picture with his fans, he's signing autographs. He seems really down to earth, and he's been like my biggest influence and inspiration as an actor. Yeah, and other than him, I would say like Mark Wahlberg, far as producing wise and him choosing his roles and choosing what projects he choose to back and fund. I think he's really really smart as far as the business side of not when I say not just being an actor, he's he has the mindset of one of the top producers
Yeah.
in the game.
I think he's also. I don't know if you will agree, but I think he's a good example of how sticking with the craft and grinding helps you grow as an actor.
Yeah, uh, it's funny that you say that because I don't like to say it, but me, I really, had like not a hatred, but I always thought that Channing Tatum sucked. And a lot of people share that. I don't like to criticize and be judgmental towards other people, but that was just my personal opinion. I never thought he was a good actor, but like you said, he stuck with it. He always was working. Now I'm starting to kind of grow on him. He seems to be like he takes it serious.
Yeah.
Now that's something that I could respect. He might not have been as good as I would think he would be at the in the beginning, but he's taking it really serious. Where he's now he's doing things like Foxcatcher. He's doing things like he has his own little hit, two movies in Magic Mike's.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's definitely working his tail off. Yeah. That's all I can say. Yeah. If he can't hit it, he might not have the talent, but he's hustling.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, yeah. That's a big thing. That's a big. I mean, even if you are good, even Denzel Washington, one of the best actors on the planet, always, he has a coach. You can never get to a point where you reach your peak. You always, because the craft is always changing. Yeah. It never sticks in one spot. It never stays at a level where you can just say, you know what, I'm done with learning. Let me just go ahead and just mellow out, and I don't have to try as hard. No, because there's always somebody there to, take your spot. Yeah. It's always, so you have to constantly adapt to the changes that happens in the industry and keep growing.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have had this conversation. You've expressed the same sentiment to me, but we talked about Kevin Spacey's speech at the Golden Globe Awards and how he expressed that Kevin Spacey, of all people, who I think is one of the greatest actors to ever live, expressed that he just wants to be better. And how important, at least to you, or do you think to the craft of acting, having that mentality is? How important do you think that mentality is?
I mean, honestly, I think that's important in anything that you do in life, period. Michael Jordan, the best at his time, was the best basketball player on the planet. He had to go to practice every day. Yeah. Tiger Woods, he had to practice. He had a coach to help him with Tiger Wood had a coach to help him with his swing.
That's true.
So I think anything in your daily living, at your job, you go to training classes every so and so years to like I say, grow and adapt with the job. So I think with acting, it's the same thing as you would do in a normal situation. You have to constantly practice. You have to stay on top of the changes. The genres change, the films change. Things are getting, far as technology wise with the films and stuff. All that's changing. So you can't just stay in one spot. You have to constantly build your level up.
Yeah. But speaking of the grind and growth as an actor, how can you speak to your own experience and how you had this first role that was given to you, and now starring as, honestly, an iconic superhero as the Jason Scott, the Red Ranger. What's your own experience been like? What's your grind been like? What has kept you inspired, and what has been the hardest part?
That's a really great question. So I'll just break it down into 3 different parts. All right, now the grind. The grind never stops. Once you realize what you have to do to get to where you need to be at, or where you want to be at, that's one thing you notice, is that you never can stop grinding. I have a full-time job. I have a daughter. I have a girlfriend. I have family. So I have to balance all that from work to family and to filming. But I've never really had a point where I had to slow down for anything. So I was always grinding, even from like once I saw the first movie I've done, I always said, never again. So I practice, I work, keep practicing. And it's kind of like it's kind of internal. It's kind of hard to explain it. It's just like it's like an inner fire that you have built up
Yeah.
inside of you, and it's like it's always it's always burning. You always have that feeling that tomorrow could be the day that changed your life. So you always want to make sure that you're prepared.
Yeah.
It's just like the lottery. You'll never win the lottery if you never buy a ticket.
Yep.
And if you keep buying tickets, you might not ever win it, but if you keep buying tickets, it greatens your chance of winning. And that's kind of how I would say my grind is like that. It's like playing a lottery. I keep working until hopefully the opportunity comes. Geez, what was the other question?
I guess I can simplify it. What have been your other experiences working on different sets? Maybe the best experiences you had and the worst experiences, or what has been your experience in trying to get roles?
Whew. All right, my greatest experience, definitely Teenagers with Attitude. I would just say the fan appreciation for the Power Rangers universe is been such a great it's a great feeling. Really, really great feeling. And it's crazy because shout out to Derek Anthony Green. It's funny. He hit me up one day and he was like, how does it feel to make history? And I was like, I made history? And he was like, yeah, you're one of the few black Red Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh. I mean, I didn't understand. I mean, I watched Power Rangers. I wasn't really into it. It was something to come on after school.
You weren't a fanboy. You aren't a fan. Yeah.
So I didn't understand the significance of what Planet Character like this, really came with. But I noticed it with some of the negative comments. I think that kind of put it all in perspective versus the positive comments. You see some of the negative comments, some people were so stuck on, Jason Scott. I mean, not Jason Scott, August St. John, that, when they saw a Black Red Ranger, it kind of threw them off. And I'm like, why should that matter? But I kind of appreciate what's the word I want to use?
Passion, maybe?
Yeah, passion and their loyalty to, what was the originals. So that I would say that's probably my greatest joy right now. Until Teenagers with Attitude 2 start filming. Can't wait for that. Hurry up, Cisco. But worse, I wouldn't say I really had like a really, really bad experience. I don't think I've ever really had a bad experience on set. Then I had some situations where a few movies didn't come out, or some lies were told, but I'll keep that. I had to keep that out. I keep all negative stuff away from me. That's how I stay so positive. But yeah, I've never had a really negative situation on set. Even if I did, I would nullify it real quick so that way it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely no worse. But Teenagers with Attitude has been the greatest.
Yeah. I want you to speak to your positivity really quickly, because how do you stay so positive? Because becoming an actor can be such a grueling experience, and obviously you have to have a thick skin. You have to be willing to endure the experience to even get anywhere. So how do you stay positive, and how can you, I guess, offer advice on staying positive to anyone that is trying to get it into the industry, regardless of which part of it?
Mm-hmm. Well, far as getting parts, I mean, it's really hard. Yeah. It's really, really hard, especially, not a racism thing. It's a Hollywood thing, far as African American roles. It's almost constantly. I mean, that I would say that's probably the worst thing about the whole acting thing for me, is that, I'm going through casting calls, and I'm going through probably about 10, 20 casting calls every night, just trying to see where my next role is going to come from. And you might see one movie where they're casting, 6, 7, 8, Caucasian roles, and there might be one black role. And if they do have one black role, it might be for like 40 to 50 years old. And you might see most of the cast of cars I see, it's predominantly just Caucasian roles, like no black roles, nothing. And that kind of thing, it bothers me, but I've grown to accept it doing this for almost 7 years. Um, and that, as far as positivity, I would say have like a strong support system. Um, One thing I pride myself on, like I said, is my family. And my girlfriend, she has been like one of the biggest helps in my career. She's done like so much sacrificing that I have no room for negativity. She done so much for me, and she went through all the negative bull crap for me, where I'm like, I'm going to make this work. And even if you don't have a support system, I just say that you know, anything is temporary. Negativity is temporary. Positivity is temporary. So you might as well stick with the positive side because that's the best side to be on. Um, and also, I don't know. I'm so positive. Like anything that's negative, comes from even the industry, fans, uh, friends. You just kind of put that to the side and just stick with smiling.
Yeah.
But yeah, but other than that, yeah, that's probably that's how I stay positive. You just have to have something to even with through all the negative. I always look at the bigger picture. Like I tell myself, you know, hey, it's not a lot of roles out there, but I'm going to get one that makes a difference one day. I think you just have to have something to look forward to because it's going to be even with Caucasian things. You know, you're going to get to a point where you feel like everything is stacked against you, but then like I said, you know, there's always locked doors. You just wait till you find the right key, and then you'll get there.
Yeah. I think something I notice in my conversations with you, Kelvin, and this is the moment where I'm going to get a little deep. I get deep, and you're used to that. But there's a theologian and scholar named Howard Thurman who, in a short speech, spoke about the sound of the genuine
Mm-hmm.
and listening to who you truly are and what you're truly called to do.
Mm-hmm.
And while it's difficult, fulfillment comes when you truly listen to that. Listen
Mm-hmm.
to the sound of the genuine. And I see in you someone that listens to the sound of the genuine
Mm-hmm.
and someone that listens to who they are called to be and who are they supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's at least incredibly inspiring.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
appreciate that.
no problem.
A lot of the stuff. One thing I've learned, I think I get most of my positivity from is my mother. I've seen her raise, 4 kids, my two brothers and my sister. She had to work 2, 3 jobs, just to support us. She had to walk. She didn't have a car. She had to walk to her 3 jobs, and I didn't understand it when I was younger. I learned so much from when I grew up. I was like, she went through that much, and she always smiled. She never once say, I wish I didn't have any kids. I wish I didn't go through that. She knew what she had. She said, I'm gonna work my butt off because that's my responsibility, and I'm just gonna make it work. And I think she has been like my biggest reason for being so positive. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Kelvin.
Yeah,
I know I see that a lot on Facebook. You are definitely.
my mama's boy.
I'm a mama's boy too. I am unashamed of that.
Nah, definitely not, man. Nah, mama's boys rule the world.
Yes. Okay, so I think we'll go from talking about your experience to the overall process of maybe. I don't want to say the process of becoming an actor because I think it might be different for everyone, but
Hmm.
there are, it seems, specific steps that need to be taken. I think. Where do you think someone sees a movie, sees their favorite actor, and they start to feel that overwhelming feeling? I have to do this. I
Hmm.
want to do this.
Hmm.
Where would you recommend starting?
Uh, First off, starting wise, um, forget the whole, I need to take a class thing. Because I didn't take my first acting class till last year. Like I said, this is almost my 7th year. I didn't take my first acting class till last year. So forget the whole I have to take a class thing. Um, my biggest suggestion would be try background work. That has been the greatest teacher to me since I've been active. One, you get to learn, the lingo on set, what the vocabulary is. You get to sit and watch professionals work. You get to see when the director says, start from your one, start from your two. What he means by that. You get to see how actors prepare themselves to get ready for a role. Like when I was doing Jamesy Boy, I did background work. Uh, I didn't do it. When I signed up for it, I know I was going to get paid for it, but I would have done it even if I wasn't. I got to meet Vin Rames, who's a very great actor.
Yeah.
And we had a scene where we were in a prison yard, and all the actors was around. It was a jail scene, so we were conversing, getting ready for the scene, trying to be in the scene.
Yeah.
And Vin Rames, he was just walking around, and he had his head down. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, what is he doing? Why is he walking like that? Come to find out, he was trying to get himself, like, basically, he was in his head trying to get himself ready for the specific scene he had, which was a scene where he had to, really go at this other character. So he was basically, I would say, like, psyching himself out. And I was like, wow, that's what he do. So I kind of incorporated that when I started filming my other scenes. So the biggest thing I would say is do background work. That's like it's sometimes you get paid for it, sometimes you don't. But it's like the greatest teacher you can have. Secondly, if you have the money, take a class. Why not? If you have the money. Sometimes the circumstances are different for certain people, so they can't afford to go to. Some of the classes can reach. My last class I took was $400. Yeah. So sometimes you can't afford classes. Extra work. Secondly, networking events. Learn to meet people, meet other actors. That's how you build up. One, that's like the single. That's how you make it. To me, well, not to me. Everybody says that talent is only 10% of the industry. 10%. Now, how many times have, like I said, you seen somebody who was not very talented, but he had a certain kind of look, and he's working like crazy? Channing Tatum,
James Franco.
James Franco, Keanu Reeves, Nicolas Cage, not very talented, but they probably networked and then they met somebody, and then that somebody said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna put you on the road." Just like with the new show Empire. Yeah. One of the greatest new TV shows in the history. I mean, the ratings are skyrocketing. Now, Terrence Howard, I don't know if you heard the story, but it was originally supposed to go to Wesley Snipes. They were in talks with Wesley Snipes, which I can't see him in the role, but he probably could have pulled it off if he went for like a whole new Jack City thing.
Yeah.
But Terrence Howard, he wasn't even called in the audition. He wasn't. They didn't even. We weren't even looking at him. He got the role because of Taraji P. Henson. So that's where I go off to say that it's all about who you know. Not what you know. It's all about who you know. So yeah. Secondly, I would say definitely look up on find out where they have little groups on Facebook and things like that where you can go to different networking events and just meet different people. I would say that certain things that work for me as far as getting started might not work for the next person. Just get as much advice from other people that you can. And I think that's about it, pretty much. It's pretty simple to get started. It's scary. It's definitely scary. You just need, like I say, if you get around the right people, they can make you, at ease. you feel comfortable, especially if you get around like a certain director and a certain amount of actors that you really know, then you would feel comfortable with performing in front of them. Because I think a lot of it is just some people are scared to be embarrassed. You know, they don't want to get on camera and look silly. Me, for instance, I didn't want to get on camera and look silly. You know, all you need is just something a little small scene just to get your feet wet, and then you learn from there.
Okay. Okay. Can you speak to the process, what it's like to get a role? Because people probably have it in their head that, oh, a person's an actor, oh, they hear about a role they like and they just walk in and audition. But it's obviously a lot different than that.
It really is. Because most of the times, who you might not fit the character.
Yeah.
And it was funny. One of the projects I was on that I was referring to about, some crazy stuff going on with it. I went to audition. I was going to audition for, I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 black roles on there.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to audition, and what they were doing was usually, 9 times out of 10 when you go to audition, it's, you, and then it's like 3 or 4 other, like the casting director, the producer, and, the script writer, things like that when you go to audition. But with this casting, they were auditioning groups. So, when I went into audition, I was auditioning with 4 or 5 other people in one scene. And they said, okay, for this scene, I want you to read this person. So when I went to read this scene, it was the comedy part of the scene. So I went in and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do, read just to get through this. I didn't really understand it. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna read this part, just to help the other guys, and I'll read for the part that I initially came for once I'm done with that. So I read the part, and I did it. I didn't know, if I did a great job or, if I did a poor job. I just was going along with it. So the director came up to me. He was like, he held my shoulder. He said, "You stay," and he pointed to like 2 other people. Said, "You stay." The other 2, he told them, wait outside. He'll have them come back in. So 2 other people came in. He said, "I want you to read the same part. Read the same part again." Cool. All right. He said, "Stay again." He told one other person to stay, and then he sent the other 3 people out. He sent another 3 other people. Had me read the part again. He came up to me and he was like, "I'll be in contact with you." And I was sitting there and I'm like, hold on, I didn't even read for the part I came for. I said, okay, whatever. Maybe he might cast me in the part that I was coming to read for, just all for the part that I read.
Yeah.
So he called me. He was like, yeah, I want you to play the role of, what was it, Brian Burr? And I was like, well, that said Caucasian on the call sheet. And I was like, why does he want me to read for the Caucasian part? So I didn't really understand it until I got on set, and his girlfriend, who acted in it, but she was also the producer. She came up to him and she was like, he was really impressed with your audition. He had in mind Jack Black when he wrote the script, but when you came in, you did such a great job that he wanted you instead of a Jack Black type. And I was like, wow, that was crazy. So I would say even at auditions, go in and read. Whoever they give you to read for, even if it's not, the scene that you want to read for, if you're just reading to fill in for a group, read it as if that's the role you're going for. But yeah, as far as searching for roles and things like that, just look, like I say, just look for your age range. If you feel like you can, even if you feel like you don't fit any of the casting that they're looking for, submit anyway. Because a lot of times, they might have something in mind where they want to change something, or, they want to just see if you can pull off one of the parts that they're looking for anyway. Mm-hmm. So, and that's pretty much it. And then when I get like far as what you said, the question you had as far as what's the process like once you get the role? Once I get the role, it all depends on how much dialogue it is. If it's a lot of dialogue, I start immediately. I go in and I start reading. I start breaking down the character, breaking down the scene. Is he supposed to be happy in the scene? Is he supposed to be furious? Is he supposed to be, in fear and things like that. But if it's like not a lot of dialogue, like 3 or 4 pages, I'll wait till probably about the week and a half before to really start reading. And people always ask me, they say, why you wait so late to read it? And I think I wait so late to read those parts, the little small parts, is because I like those the best because it gives me a more natural feel.
Okay.
Whereas I'm not, going by what I studied and what I prepared for, almost like a robot. Whereas if I studied a week before, I'm just trying to learn the dialogue. I'm not trying to learn the part. So I think it gives me a more natural feeling than it would be to study for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, that's basically the process of what I do to prepare for it. I mean, I haven't really did anything where I had to like dive like like the Joker or anything like that. Where I have to, stay in a hotel, lock myself in a closet or something like that. I mean, I did now with Tears with Attitude. I did a lot of homework on that, and it was funny because I had talked to Cisco, and he was like, "Yeah, the fans are really picky, they're really particular." He said, "So if that's the first thing he said. He said if they say anything negative, just mark it up to just fandom." And I was like, "Okay." So one thing I did do with Tennis of Attitude is I did go back and watch like the first 50 episodes of season 1, just to see where what I could pull from August St. John, who was the best Red Ranger. I don't care what nobody says. But I kind of dove into that a little bit just to make sure that I was, portraying him how he would be. And that's basically it.
Now, when you said you respond to casting calls, now where would you find those casting calls? Are they posted on Craigslist? Do you get emails from specific people? Do you just go walk into a coffee shop and look at the bulletin board? How does it work? How would one find a casting call?
I'm gonna tell you this: one key: stay away from Craigslist. Stay away. That is the biggest scam setter upper that you can possibly. I mean, there are some really good casting calls on there, but you can find them in other sites. One site that I do use is Mandy.com. They have a lot of some good casting calls on there.
Like Mandy, like Mandy?
Yes, yeah, Mandy.com.
Okay.
And you go to the casting section. But in specific areas, different areas, they have like one place where you can go for all your casting calls. Like in the DMV area, you have Dragon Nuck Connects.com. That's where most of the casting calls go to. But also Facebook, man. Facebook is like I would say that's like the biggest place where you can find most of your casting calls.
Okay.
If you go onto Facebook, usually there's a bunch of groups for actors where they're posting constantly casting calls. Trying to think what else. IMDb.com, they just put a new casting section. I do believe you have to be a member to sign up for the casting calls on IMDb. But other than that, Facebook. Just find out what groups are in your area for actors, and just go and get invited to the groups, join the groups, and usually there'll be a lot of casting calls in there.
Okay. To finish up here, I'm gonna start just rapid fire questions at you, Kelvin, because I'm gonna get back at you for putting me on the hot seat when we did the TWA Cast podcast.
Let's go, man. I'm trying to tell you. I'm ready.
First, what is the most embarrassing blooper you've ever made on cast? On set?
Jeez. Well, if you want to go there, man, TWA. It's a whole bunch of them. You can look in there and see a bunch of. I that's one thing I can't wait. I'm excited about the behind the scenes videos of Teenage Attitude. Like I can't wait for Cisco to release them because we haven't seen them yet. But there's a bunch. I'm trying to think. What was? It had to be that like just off top. That one when I was we were sitting in the classroom and I was going around giving everybody high fives, and I went to give Jennifer Ortiz a high five, and I like missed and almost fell out the chair. So that had to be like the first one.
Okay. Who is the one actor or actress that you absolutely want to work with, hands down? Actor, actress, or director?
It's like one. Can I give you like one in each field?
Give me your top 3.
All right, I'll just give you one in each field, like far as director. Well, no, I'll break it down to you. I give you three actors, three actresses, and three directors. All right, far as my actors, definitely Will Smith. Michael B. Jordan, he's on a come up. I would love to work with him. For some strange reason, it's Matt Damon. Either Matt Damon or Mark Wahlberg. It's like those two is like you're really key in working with. For actresses, definitely. I have like the biggest crush on Meryl Streep. I don't know what it is about her. It's just something. I don't know if it's the 20 Oscars she was nominated. But like Meryl Streep, I have to. That is her. She's like a big crush on her. Who else? I would say definitely Taraji. I love Taraji. Would love to work with her. Amy Adams. I love Amy Adams. I would love to work with Amy Adams. Or Jennifer Lawrence. I love Jennifer Lawrence too. That's fair. Director Christopher Nolan. Genius. Michael Bay just because he loves to blow things up. And who my last? Martin Scorsese. Definitely got to be Martin.
Nice.
Yeah. Just on a whole, him and Leonardo DiCaprio. I love Martin Scorsese. But those are my top three in all three categories.
Nice. Okay, 2 more questions.
Mm-hmm.
First, how excited? Just don't hold back. How absolutely excited are you for TWA 2?
For one, I just can't wait for y'all to see me in the suit. I look really good in spandex. But no, TWA 2, I am stoked. If you could see some of the messages that we, the castmates in Cisco, we all talk about. We're going crazy, man. We cannot. If we could film tomorrow, I would get ready to start filming tomorrow. But I understand that he has a lot going on with Zora and Altar, and I commend him. I don't know if you've seen the new pictures he did. They look amazing. Yeah, they look amazing. So, I think only with the way it makes it better because he's learning more and more as he goes along with Zoe. So once we do finally get onto TWA 2, I think it will be like epic, man. Like I
agree.
I think, like honestly, I think about it every day. Every day, no lies. Yeah, I think about it every day. I cannot wait to start filming.
Now, I'm really gonna put you on the spot here. I hear through the grapevine. That you do an Eddie Murphy impersonation.
Oh my god! Let me stop. Hercules. Let me stop.
Nice.
But nah, Eddie Murphy. If nobody, I talked to Jared about it. Definitely, I've been preparing for the biopic of Eddie. I'm going to play. I'm like, I'll shave the. I got the, he had the no bid with the mustache, with the Jerry curl and everything. That's my dream role, is to play Eddie Murphy and the biopic of him.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Well, Kelvin, I almost called you Cisco. Well,
it's a black thing. We all look alike, though.
Don't set me up like that. Well, thank you. Thank you, Kelvin, for joining me and for doing the pilot episode of Creative Corner. It was awesome talking. Definitely, I definitely wanted to pick you first and talk to you first. And thank you for joining, and wish you all the best of luck. To the listeners or viewers, depending on whether you're listening to it or watching on YouTube, I will put a link to Kelvin's IMDb page and put his Twitter handle in there so you can follow him, and his Facebook page. Do you have an actual separate actors page?
I do, but I rarely use it. I need to start using it more, but I rarely use it. I mean, I'd rather you see, my regular page. That's me all the time. So,
but guys, show Kelvin your support. He is an incredible support to others trying to make it in the industry. He's an incredible positive force in my ambitions, and he's a great person to know. So, get to know Kelvin, follow him. Any concluding words, Kelvin?
Sure. One, I just want to give a shout out to my whole TWA team. I love you guys. Shout out. I always do this. Got to shout out my daughter. Love you, Capri. My girlfriend. Love you, Alicia. Mommy. Aww. Love you, Boop. but just to to the listeners, hopefully you guys are listening to this. Um, just want to say, never let anybody tell you no. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you can't do that. Um, like one of my greatest stories is when I was in high school. My teacher told me that I would never amount to anything because I was a class clown. I didn't take anything serious. I was always a character. And now I'm an actor who, that is a strength of mine. Um, and no matter your circumstances and what you grew up with, and there's always a way out. And that is what I leave you with.
Oh, thank you, Kelvin.
Mhm.
And everyone listening, you all have a good night, good day, good afternoon, whatever it is while you're listening. But peace.